Diablo 4 Season 12 is here. Let's talk about it and figure out, is it worth your time? So what's this season all about? Well, the new seasonal mechanic centers around extreme aggression and kill chains, along with new activities, items, and rewards. The core fantasy of seasonal slaughter is briefly becoming one of Diablo's most famous enemies, the Butcher. I immediately jumped into the game when it officially launched. Me being foolish like I always am and hopeful that Diablo is going to work properly, or that Blizzard is going to do their job like they should. Spoiler alert, it was a shit show. As you can see on the footage what I'm presenting here, I was hit with loading screens, I was hit by all kinds of silly stuff about Paragon because my character apparently had Paragons from the previous season. The quest was broken because the character's name was broken, as you can see. And obviously when I talked to the NPC, rather the quest giver, everything froze. Amazing first impression, don't you think? But not to worry, the shop was working 100%. You gotta open your wallet for that Doom skins, my man, otherwise you're not playing the game. Anyway, it took around 2 hours before I could actually start playing the game. So I reckon note to myself, don't play immediately because you won't be able to play. Go do something else, I don't know. Just don't play the game as soon as it opens, because it's the same shit every single season. Moving on. Like I said, Season of Slaughter is all about becoming Butcher and killing enemies, achieving high kill streaks. Kill streaks are nothing new, we've seen them before, and in Diablo 3 as well if you play that game. But this Butcher transformation is something that tickled my curiosity, so to speak. When you transform into the Butcher, you gain a special hotbar with Butcher abilities, Butcher melee attacks, hook abilities that drag enemies towards you, and enhanced power meant for clearing large groups quickly. You earn fresh meat, which is a new seasonal currency, by killing enemies while in Butcher form. This can later be spent to acquire bloodied items and other seasonal rewards. The season introduces several ways to trigger the transformation. You have meaty offerings and slaughter shrines during Helltide events, ceremonial slaughter, which is a PvP event in the Fields of Hatred, and Slaughterhouse, a new activity designed entirely around the Butcher transformation. Let's break them down, so see what's happening with every single one of them. The Slaughter Shrine is an activity in Helltide where you transform into the Butcher and then multiple enemies spawn, you kill them, you get fresh meat, which is the currency, and then rinse and repeat. That's basically it. It's a good way of farming XP if you have your buddies around you, because more the merrier. In other words, there will be more enemies, you will get more currency, you will get more XP, all that good stuff. I believe transformation lasts around 1 minute, and that particular activity is usually tied with the Whispers. So when you complete it, and you need to kill around 500 enemies, you get 5 Whispers. Other than that, Helltide is the same, like it was in Season 10. So pretty much you can look at this particular situation like Season 10, but with Butcher flavor. Ceremony of Slaughter, on the other hand, is exclusive PvP event, which like I said happens in the Fields of Hatred. Again, you have the same Butcher Shrine, but here you have a bit of a different mechanic. You activate it, you kill 3 waves of enemies, and those waves can spawn different enemy variety. One time I got a wave full of bosses, the other time I got a wave of normal enemies, and the other time I got some kind of a structures that I needed to kill, so you know, it has a bit of a flavor. When you are done with all that, you have a chance to click on that particular altar, and that transforms you into the Butcher. After the transformation, you have around, 5 minutes or something like that to roam around the Fields of Hatred, because the idea is for you to kill the enemies there and get the shards. Now that sounds amazing in theory, but in practice it's dog shit. You see, because this is a PvP zone, you're not going to be the only one that's trying to transform into the Butcher. And when you do that, everybody instantly jumps on you, because when they kill you, they can click on the altar and they themselves can become the Butcher. So for obvious reasons, the way this is set up, you will never be able to do proper stuff. It's just maybe 2 or 3 seconds of you being a Butcher and they immediately kill you afterwards. So this is a colossal failure. First of all, it's all about first come first serve, instead of, let's say, whoever did the best in killing the enemies. But even that makes no sense, because someone can use the best possible build in the game, wipe everything, and become Butcher non-stop while you're basically left there hanging, I suppose. One thing is clear to me, that this was severely underbaked and they weren't really thinking when they were making this. So yeah, this is basically what you have with this PvP thing. Not to mention the game is forcing you through the seasonal journey to participate in PvP events, albeit it's not that bad, but still. I thought they abandoned this whole PvP events and seasonal journey kind of a thing, but apparently they haven't. In my opinion, this could have been done much better, and if Blizzard wants to hear my ideas, they can DM me and then they should pay me to disclose these things. I mean, it's obvious they couldn't do it properly, so why should I give them solutions for free? Makes absolutely no sense. Safe to say, it's a fail. Finally, there is the Slaughterhouse, where you stay in butcher form for the entire run. The objective there is quite simple. You need to kill as many enemies as possible, and it's designed as a high-intensity slaughter mode. In my eyes, this is a fun gimmick. It's like a mini dungeon. You just go around and kill everything within 2.5 minutes or so. And at the end, as a reward, you get bloodied items. I think most of them are normal legendaries, not ancestral ones, but I guess it can help you when you're gearing your character. Especially hunting for legendary powers and all that good stuff. You don't need any items or any eye level, nothing of the sorts, you just jump in and you kill. Not great, not terrible. Overall, the whole butcher situation, the transformation and using the character to do your bidding is a gimmick. That's basically how I see it. Eventually, you will complete your seasonal journey objectives that include you doing these particular things, and then when you are done, you will completely forget about this whole situation. At least that's how I see it. Like I mentioned before, the seasonal gameplay heavily emphasizes kill streaks. You gain bonuses by killing enemies quickly without losing momentum. Maintaining the streak increases rewards such as experience, seasonal reputation, and better loot. If you play Diablo 3, kill streaks are nothing new, you've seen it, however you get better rewards in comparison, so I guess it's okay. I also mentioned bloodied items. It's basically a new item quality designed around killstreak gameplay. Their power scales depending on your current killstreak, and bloodied affixes fall into 3 categories: Rampage, Feast, and Hunger. Items can also be both ancestral and bloodied at the same time, stacking power levels. This, however, is a problem. For some ungodly reason, developers decided that several seasonal journey challenges should include you equipping a full set of a specific item quality, in this case magic, rare, legendary, and so on. The only thing that I can say about this is that this is incredibly dumb. Fortunately, I noticed this thing on time, so I was stashing certain items in order to form the set so I can trigger the seasonal journey challenge. Don't do this again, this is just dumb. Right, so what else is there? Well, the season adds bloodied sigils, which increase the difficulty of activities like nightmare dungeons, infernal hordes, and lair bosses fights. These sigils introduce a special affix called Relentless Butcher. What this means is that the butcher continuously hunts you, killing him doesn't end the encounter, and he respawns and continues pursuing you. It's an interesting take to what we had in the past, but as you are progressing you will definitely be able to kill him immediately, so at the end he just is basically a nuisance. That's all that I can say. Bloodied Sigil content is roughly 1 torment tier harder than normal activities, but rewards guarantee bloodied items. So if you were thinking jumping into a nightmare dungeon to do these things, be sure you are equipped properly because it's not that easy. It's definitely manageable, you just need to be geared properly. Also, you have blood-soaked sigils, which are even harder versions, and they are comparable to Pit Tier 100 difficulty. I would say extremely challenging, but also guaranteeing multiple bloodied item drops. I reckon it's a good incentive to do these things because at the end of the day, when you complete this particular sigil, at least you know you're getting something valuable compared to your usual rewards that you get in a pit and nightmare dungeons. I should point out that the Butcher was also added as a lair boss, so you can summon him like you summon all the other lair bosses. But for some inexplicable reason, again, probably some kind of a Blizzard logic, you cannot use looking for group tool in order to find buddies who are interested in doing this with you. You can only do it manually and you spam the chat or you join for something else and then you guys kind of agree whether or not you want to do the Butcher or not. The only thing that I can say to this particular issue is unbelievable. Not adding him to the roster of all the lair bosses within looking for group tool is such a fail. And speaking of other failures, when you take into consideration the currency and where you exchange it, they could have added a stash near that NPC or a blacksmith so you can break these items faster, but no. Best thing what I have found is to teleport directly to the Whispers waypoint where you can offload and break these things easily and then teleport back where the NPC is. I guess these people never heard of quality of life stuff, but there you have it. So now that I covered all the new gimmicks that we have in this season, what's the endgame like? If you played Season 10, this is precisely what it is, with the butcher flavor of course. But for some reason it feels worse. Why? If you take Season 11 as a benchmark, there the drop rates were much better. You got more items, more gems, more upgrading currency, more of everything. You could have earned mythical uniques easier. Now granted, it's not great when the game is handling you everything on a silver platter, but it's also bad when it's depriving you from the said items as well. For example, Obducite drop rate is absolutely abysmal. Back in Season 11 you could go to Nightmare Dungeon and target farm this stuff effectively, but here, the drop rates are miserable. Same thing goes for boss layer keys. The only way that I can see that you can deterministically farm these items is going to Helltide and doing Whispers. You get occasional drop here and there outside those places, but that's about it. So again, in comparison to Season 11, this is very bad. It seems to me they don't really know how to strike a balance between giving us not so many items, but at the same time us feeling that we are getting enough. Either you get too many things or you get breadcrumbs. One notable example is the blooded sigils. Not only you get a lot of them by default, but if you upgrade your seasonal journey powers with embers, you get even more. I'm essentially drowning these things and I started breaking them down because I don't know where to put them. But then, like I said, Obducite, that shit is so hard to get. So yeah, I don't really know what's going on with them. Maybe they have bad data, maybe they didn't playtest this properly, but there is a problem 100%. On the other hand, doing seasonal journey will take you some time, so I guess they're using it to prolong the longevity of the season. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me because the season only lasts for a month and a half, and it would be much more appropriate to apply this particular strategy on a full-blown season. I mean, I see what they are doing and I see where they are going, but again, for this particular set of circumstances, it makes absolutely no sense. Now, I did manage to complete the seasonal journey in less than 24 hours, but that's just bare minimum what you need in order to unlock it. But I'm talking mostly about completing all the challenges and stuff like that. Also, I have a feeling that the enemies in Infernal Hordes are a bit overtuned. It seems to me in order to access that particular set of challenges, you need to have a full-blown kit of mythic uniques and all that good stuff. But more often than not, when you are being paired with people in Looking for Group, you don't see the distinction between whether or not it's a bloodied sigil or it's a normal sigil you're talking about. So I reckon they should have done something like, okay, if you want to do bloodied stuff, there is a different tab, and then if you want to do that, go there, but if you want to have a normal experience, for example, just to complete your seasonal journey, use the other one. I don't understand why they didn't put these two systems separately because it's just causing more issues. You try to do tier 4 stuff with your character, but because Bloodied Sigil is essentially tier 5, you jump into something that you are not prepared for, and then people kick you out of the Infernal Hordes because they are annoyed that you haven't achieved that power level yet. It absolutely makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Another thing to mention is the bugs that I have encountered in the game. Most notably certain things that you would never expect to be buggy, like that rune that spawns wolves. It was fixed later on, but I don't really understand how that wasn't noticed in the final build, so they had to patch it. Same thing goes with not being able to play at the beginning of the season for 2 hours. Again, it's some kind of a Blizzard theme song that is going on non-stop. On the positive side, as far as I'm concerned, I am seeing less and less of rubber banding, which is always a great thing, but it's still present. So I reckon they did 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards. And to wrap up this video, it's time to answer the question that I mentioned in the beginning, which was, is this season worth your time? If you expected something along the lines of Season 11, which I enjoyed, then no, this is definitely not worth your time. The vibes I'm getting are definitely worse in comparison to Season 11. Now, if you're coming from a Season 10 perspective, it's basically the same with this additional butcher gimmick. So basically, it's all about what kind of expectations you had before actually starting the season. Also, keep in mind this is a smaller season because we are getting the huge expansion that's coming in a month and a half. So that alone should reduce your expectations. If not, well, life sucks for you. What can I say? As for me, I will continue playing the season until I get the items that I want, namely mythic uniques, or since the drop rate is dogshit, I will basically play until I figure out that it's not worth going for those items because they will definitely not drop for me. So pretty much this is where I stand. And as far as I can tell, a chance for me to get those mythic uniques is very low. I managed to score Tyrael's chest, but other than that, I have no idea when I will get one, particularly when we are talking about getting drops from lair bosses. At least in Season 11, you could have deterministically farm these particular items using the sigils from the Undercity. But here, that's not the case. So for me, this is a below average experience as far as I'm concerned. But my expectations are kinda low for this game, so I'm not that disappointed. It's mostly just being surprised at the things that I see and I'm like, okay, this is just Blizzard stuff, get on with the program, I reckon. And this is basically everything that I can say about this particular season. Let me know in the comments what you think about Season 12. Do you agree with me or you think I'm wrong? What are your impressions about it? Comment section is there for a reason, and I read all your comments and I'm very happy to interact there with you guys. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking the video and subscribing for more discussions like this. And that's it from me, until the next one.